It's the United States, China, and Belarus. 3 international powers compete in the Hilton Gymnastics Challenge. The Americans pin their hopes on Scott KESWICK, but the one to watch is world champion Ivan Ivankov.
Today we find ourselves in the land of sunshine, Phoenix, Arizona. Let's go inside the America West Arena where the sun is rising for the sport of gymnastics. Bart Connor and I welcome you to the Hilton Gymnastics Challenge. 3 teams, 6 apparatus, all around and team titles at stake. Let's get started with American Scott KESWICK, the 24-year-old who hails from another desert climate, Las Vegas.
Scott's already been in 1 Olympics and 4 World Championships. He has a lot of experience. His best finish was 9th in the World Championships a year ago. Stepped out of bounds. That'll be 1/10 of a point deduction. Now, we've said this before about Scott. He's immensely talented, but he tends to be temperamental as a competitor. And so when he's on, but when he's off, it's going to be a long day. This is a great combination he showed us there. The flares to handstand and back down. Nice combination of front tumbling. Now in the past he's had difficult with this last tumbling run. We'll see if he can make it today. Okay. Scott has a lot of power today. This is a laid out double somersault and he actually over rotates and steps out of bounds. That'll cost him 1/10 of a point.
KESWICK gets the team started with a 9.3. Now the music you hear in the background is just that, for ambiance only. On the rings is Ivan Ivankov from Belarus. He is the current world all-around champion.
This is clearly one of his best events. Was a bronze medalist in the '93 Worlds. His first big international competition on the rings. Beautiful opening sequence. Watch the clean body line. Good control of the rings. Nice combination, double within the rings. Watch this dismount. He's a great young talent. What makes Ivankov so terrific is the fact that he has terrific swing mechanics, and look at the form. His leg form and his toes are pointed throughout a very complicated dismount.
The 19-year-old Ivankov earns a 9.55 on a solid performance. More great routines like that still to come here at the Hilton Challenge. I'm John Neighbor, and we've got 3 of the top gymnastics performing nations in the world competing today. The People's Republic of China, the former Soviet Republic of Belarus, and the republic for which it stands, the United States of America. The men will be competing on all 6 apparatus, vying for titles as individual all-around as well as the team championship. Now, Belarus was scheduled to be led by the 6-time Olympic champion and defending Olympic all-around champion Vitaly Sherba. He was injured recently and will not be competing, and so that puts the challenge on the rest of his teammates. And Bart Connor, one cannot say that Belarus is in trouble because they've got the defending world all-around champion in Ivan Ivankov. Many are saying that this year might be the year the changing of the guard.
Well, Ivankov certainly could do that. He's only 19 years old, and he's the most recent world champion back down in Australia a couple of weeks ago. He beat everybody, including the king of gymnastics, Vitaly Sherba. As you have just seen, he's very powerful, has excellent technique and good line. He's a great representative for the new wave of gymnastics, men's gymnastics. Now, the U.S. team has a strong team here. They're very consistent, the top 4 men from the U.S. program currently. And the Chinese team will be fun to watch as well. These are 4 young guys, but boy, are they exciting. They have very difficult routines. They're going to be fun to watch as well today. It's going to be a great day of gymnastics.
Now on the floor exercise, John Roethlisberger for the United States. He hails from Afton, Minnesota. He's 23 years of age.
John, of course, is coached by his father, Fred, a former Olympian. His sister Marie was an Olympian as well in 1984. Maybe the first family of American gymnastics. This is an excellent event for John. Watch this opening tumbling run. It's big. Just a little short, but one of the more complex moves you can do. Of course, the gymnasts have to cover the entire floor area, show tumbling elements, forward tumbling as well as backward tumbling elements. You hear the music in the background. That's just background music. It has nothing to do with them. Oh no, what a shame. Made a mistake on a very simple move. It's a big last tumbling pass. It's too bad he made a mistake in the routine because that was strong tumbling, a lot of difficulty, and he made a mistake on a really easy move. He knows it.
Now to the pommel horse.
Let's take a look at what happens. This is relatively simple. It's a laid out front somersault. He just under rotates here, misjudges the landing. That's a major break.
ROETHLISBERGER gets a 9.0. So after the first rotation, our leaders in the all-around competition in first and third, the Belarusians, Ivan Ivankov and Alexander Belinovsky. American CHAINEY UMPHREY in second. Welcome back to the Hilton Gymnastics Challenge in Phoenix, Arizona. We're getting ready now for rotation number 2. American Scott KESWICK, a graduate of UCLA, is now at the pommel horse. We saw him earlier on the floor exercise.
Scott has a tendency to be just a little choppy on the pommel horse. Let's see if he can get through a smooth exercise here today. You can notice a couple of form breaks. This is the best part of the routine right here. The flares traveling across the horse and back up to the pommels. And a good finish for Scott KESWICK. Not a great deal of difficulty in that routine and a little sloppy. Let's take a look at the dismount. Most gymnasts do some type of handstand at the end of the routine. Scott does a straddle up to a handstand and a pirouette off. The judges will deduct for those little form breaks for sure.
And they did. KESWICK receives an 8.95 for that performance. Somewhat disappointing. The Hilton Challenge has traditionally acknowledged one particular athlete each year with the Hilton Bounce Back Award. This year it went to American Mihai Baju, the 23-year-old from Albuquerque, New Mexico, who has shown great improvement from his earlier inconsistencies.
This is one of his best events. He has very good swing mechanics. Notice how straight he keeps his body. Nice form. Nice combination on one pommel. Watch how long he stays on one pommel. Good work. Placed in the top 20 at the World Championships in Australia on this event. Nice combination of flares. Notice the extension. Very smooth up to a handstand. That's going to score really well. The sequence he uses at the end of the routine is so impressive. Look at the extension on the flares. Beautiful form and easily up to the handstand and pirouette off. That's going to score great.
And the judges mark a 9.4, a great score for Baju, which will also help the U.S. team in the team competition. Now on the still rings, the 19-year-old from China, Wang Dong. 5'4 3/4, not tall, but very strong.
Keep in mind what the judges are looking for on this event. They're looking for strength moves, like the L cross and the press to a handstand. There's an excellent strength move, the inverted iron cross, good control. And they're looking for swing elements, and he's having trouble up to the handstand. That was strange. He was swinging beautifully, and he was a little short. Oh, this is going to score poorly. He didn't actually lock out the position in that handstand, and you can see it in his face. That's going to score badly. Let's take a look at where he got in trouble. He's not really strong enough in the handstand position here as he does the giant swing. He loses balance and then tries to correct it, and you see he really buckles in the arms and the lower back and never really gains control of that handstand. That'll be a major deduction.
And the judges agree, 9.05 for Wang Dung. Not much help for his national team. Our attention now goes to Ivan Ivankov, our all-around leader after one rotation, who is at the vault.
Ivankov is going to be going for one of the most difficult vaults you can do. Oh! Way shorter rotation and had to put his hands down. That'll be a half a point deduction. A major mistake for him. Let's see what happened here. Not quite the push off the horse that he needed, so he was shorter rotation. It's a difficult vault, but he usually does it much better than that.
Over at the pommel horse, American John Roethlisberger at 23 years of age, the only person ever to win 3 NCAA all-around titles. Ivankov's score on the vault, by the way, a 9.15.
John has a couple of spectacular moves in this routine where he reaches from one end of the horse across the pommels all the way to the other end. Watch this. Nice mount. Works backward across the horse, and there he goes from one end to the other. Because that's one of his best moves. He's going to do it again here at the end of the routine, from one end all the way to the other, and then on up to the handstand. Good job for John.
He knows it too.
A lot more intense than we saw him on the floor exercise. Here's that move from one end all the way across to the other, originated by a Chinese gymnast, and John does it beautifully. That's the John Roethlisberger that we know.
Back at you, John. Roethlisberger gets a 9.3. So our standings after 2 of 6 rotations. Ivan Ivankov leads, followed by America's Mihai Baju, who bounces into second place. In the team competition, America leads China. In the early days of gymnastics, some of the events were unusual, to say the least. Bart, how do you think you would have done on the rope climb?
I don't know. In the old days, they had cool things like this and juggling. What about those rope burns, though?
We're back at the America West Arena in Phoenix for more of the Hilton Challenge. We saw John Roethlisberger on the horse earlier. Now the 1993 National All-Around Champion is on the rings.
John has a couple of impressive moves in this routine. One thing the judges are looking for is if the gymnasts do a swing move and then freeze it in a strength position. Watch this right here. Right to the inverted cross. Now he'll do it again. Swing to a strength move. Every time he does that, he gets bonus points from the judges. Excellent control of the rings today. Notice how steady they are. Straight body line. He has a very difficult dismount. Nicely done for John. Strong performances in the last couple of rotations here. This could be a good boost for his confidence if he could do well against the Chinese and the gymnast from Belarus.
We're privileged to be joined in the booth by what many are calling the greatest gymnast in the history of the sport, Vitaly Sherba. I know it's a disappointment that you cannot compete. What is the injury? What's hurting you now?
Nobody knows what the injury I have. I did all tests. I did MRI tests and X-rays, and doctor looked at my shoulder and he said, I can't find anything. MRI didn't show anything.
You feel pain?
I feel a big pain. I felt yesterday so big pain, that I couldn't raise my hand.
Your teammate Ivan Ivankov is about to perform. Perhaps you can give us some of your opinions.
Oh yeah, he's a very nice guy. Not only in gymnastics, in a casual life. So we are friends. He always come to my apartment to see my wife, to see my baby and me. He helps me all the time. So we'll see what he will do.
Well, he is the all-around champion.
And he's a very talented young man, Vitaly.
Very talented, yeah.
You've been the king of gymnastics for a long time.
Yeah,
how do you feel about him being the new king?
You know, I just presented that title to him, I think, in a world championship. So, we'll see.
What do you think of his style as a gymnast?
Yeah, he's very clean, pretty gymnast, and he does his routines all the time so easily, just look like me. So, now he does very good.
Do you think he has the competitive spirit like you have?
Not yet, he's too young for that. So, but he did his routine very nice.
Thanks for joining us, Vitaly.
Ivankov had a great performance there. You know, he was shaky on the vault, but it shows that he can regroup and get back into this competition.
Now over on the still rings, American Scott KESWICK. By the way, Ivankov received a 9.65, and earlier, KESWICK's teammate Roethlisberger got a 9.45 on the rings.
KESWICK has been a finalist in the World Championships on this event. This is his best event. He placed as high as 6th in the still rings in the World Championships in '91. He has an excellent combination of swing and strength moves. Excellent. Once again, this is his trademark dismount. It's big. Strong performance for KESWICK. Let's take a look at this strength move. From the inverted cross, he lowers and does a kip right to an L cross. Arms completely to the side, perfect position. The dismount, this is a great way to see the dismount. It's 2 flips and 2 twists. He does it easily.
KESWICK earns a 9.6 for that routine, and so after 3 rotations, our all-around standings are as follows. Ivankov leads, followed by the Americans KESWICK and Roethlisberger. Team USA leads in the team competition. Now today we're watching the still rings, but earlier in the history of the sport, there were flying ones as well.
Now, what little kid wouldn't want to be a gymnast after seeing some film like this? What do you think, about a 9.8?
Easily. We're on the move over Phoenix, the land of the sun, and site of some great gymnastics. Our standings midway through the competition reveal Belarusian Ivan Ivankov leading the 2 Americans. Team USA leads China by ½ a point. Mihai Baju was born in Romania 23 years ago, but now represents the U.S. We asked him to comment on the recent rebuilding effort of the U.S. team.
Our team is really strong, I think. From what I saw in training, our compulsories are very good compared to the other teams. Optionals, we need a little bit more difficulty and just be more consistent in our meets. But I think we'll give them a good meet.
Well, Bart, so far today, he's made good on that promise.
Mihai does one of the more complex vaults you can do. It's the round-off approach onto the board, which means he goes backward over the horse. Let's see if he can make it today. Oh, nice. You can tell right at the beginning, he's good position, nice flight in the air. He's going to be happy with that. Watch how he lands on the board backwards, goes over the horse, gets a good push. Very clean.
And the marks for Mihai Baju, a 9.3. Next up for the U.S. team is John Roethlisberger. Bart, this U.S. team seems to be holding up nicely to the pressure of international competition.
So far, they're doing pretty well, but this is the event, the vaulting. The U.S. team is lousy. They need to improve a lot here if they hope to contend with the top international teams. Now that was a good landing for John, but he bent his legs in the early part of the vault. That will not score very well. In slow motion, we can see exactly where he bends his legs, right there. And then he straightens his body out and makes a good landing, but that's not what he had planned on doing.
Tied with Roethlisberger at the start of this rotation is China's Song Liang. He'll be performing over on the parallel bars next. On the vault, Roethlisberger earned a 9.3.
The Chinese team have really outstanding routines on the parallel bars. Watch this mount on the single rail, press to a handstand. Giant with a full turn, a little sloppy form there. How about that move? You can tell this young gymnast is very talented, but he's not quite polished in terms of his execution and his presentation. He's not aggressive like someone like Vitaly Sherba. But in a year or two, he is going to be one fine gymnast. Let's take a look at the giant swings through the bottom. Now, the judges will tolerate a form break if your knees bend right through the bottom there, but they should not bend on the way up as his do. Once again, they bend through the bottom because simply you're just not short enough to go through the bottom with your legs straight. This move is terrific. It's a giant to a double backflip, and he catches on his upper arms. Very difficult sequence.
Song Liang gets a 9.4 on the bars. Here's Ivan Ivankov, the reigning world all-around champion. He's been leading in the all-around contest here in Arizona every single rotation. Now he's on the high bar.
This is a great event for him. Bronze medalist at the Worlds on this event. This is a good opportunity to see his swing mechanics and his style. Double over the bar, a little sloppy, he caught close. More releases. He's struggling through this routine. It's not really the rhythm that we normally see from him. But take a look at the body line. The mechanics are terrific. Great dismount. Impressive finish for Ivankov. He showed a great deal of composure in this routine. He struggled, he had some form breaks, he had to improvise a little, but he was able to come up with a big dismount and he drilled it. The judges won't miss those mistakes from the early part of the routine, though.
Well, you're right, Bart. Ivankov gets a 9.3, showing they clearly did watch more than just the dismount. Over on the vault, the U.S. team has Scott Keswick, second place in the all-around standings at the start of this rotation. He's also helping keep the U.S. in a strong position in the team battle against two of the top teams in the world.
Keswick can do several different vaults. He's attempting one that he had trouble with at the World Championships. Much better today. Yeah, he's happy about that one. Now this vault has a maximum value of a 9.8. He lands a little low, as you notice, but good form in the air, good control. It'll score well.
9.55 for Keswick's vault. That will help the U.S. effort. Two-thirds of the way through this competition, Ivan Ivankov from Belarus leads America's Keswick. The American men still lead the rest of the field in the team competition. This team's strong showing harkens back to 1984 when the American men's gymnastics team won gold at the Olympic Games in Los Angeles, becoming perhaps the finest U.S. gymnastics team ever. Names like Gaylord, Connor, Daggett, Vidmar, along with Johnson and Hartung, will be etched in our memories for a lifetime. Earlier this year, 19-year-old Ivan Ivankov was the surprise winner of the World All-Around title. He spoke with us about how life has changed.
People's attitude towards me has changed. Not their attitude towards me as a gymnast, my training, or me as a person. But they've started to interview me, television and radio are asking about me. I'm being rewarded at competitions. People in general are paying a lot of attention to me, and it's kind of nice.
Probably couldn't tell by looking at him, but this is the world's best gymnast. He's now ready for the floor exercise. Ivan Ivankov has been our leader after every rotation, but his advantage over American Scott KESWICK shrunk a bit in the last rotation, so he might be vulnerable.
Good opening tumbling run. One of the things that's impressive about Ivankov is that he's a good all-around gymnast. He's strong everywhere. Powerful tumbling, good swing mechanics. He's strong enough for the strength events like the still rings. He really is quite a complete young man. It's interesting, he's also quite a contrast to Vitaly Sherba, who is sort of his mentor. Sherba is sort of like the John McEnroe of gymnastics. He's brash and cocky, and Ivankov is very polite, very soft-spoken, but he's the world champion right now. Last tumbling pass. Good landing. Let's take a look at his opening tumbling pass. The laid out double somersault shows just how good his technique is. Beautiful tight arch throughout the laid out double somersault position. In the front tumbling, notice he's gonna do a laid out front somersault. He does 3 in a row, and the third one has a full twist on it. He'll earn a half a point of bonus from the judges for that combination. Well done.
And the judges give Ivankov a 9.55, and that certainly holds him in the lead position. Song Leong is next up on the high bar. In the last rotation, he dropped from tied for 3rd to 4th place. He wants to move back into the medals.
The Chinese gymnast can really swing the high bar. Watch the power on this move here. Double over. Nice. Very aggressive. It's a complicated dismount. Boy, did he nail that or what?
Nice punch.
Let's take a look at the double over. This move was invented nearly 15 years ago, but it's so daring, you still see very few gymnasts who will go for it in competition.
UCLA graduate Scott KESWICK is next on parallel bars. Song Leong got a 9.45 on the high bar just a moment ago.
Scott has a very difficult sequence in the middle of his routine. That'll be the most critical part. Watch this here. Front 1 3/4 to a Maltese. Well done. Nice dismount and a perfect landing. He's really into this competition today. I haven't seen him so intense in a long time. Let's take a look at this combination. This is the front 1 3/4. He's going to catch on his upper arms, and watch how he freezes it in a strength move called a Maltese. That's tough.
KESWICK earns a good score of 9.5. That will help the U.S. team effort. With 1 rotation remaining, KESWICK stays in 2nd place behind Ivankov by a 1/4 point. USA team still leads. Though we're indoors here, Bart, there used to be a time when gymnasts had to fight the elements.
You imagine telling your coach, hey, I was doing fine. The wind blew me off. Nice clean air. Look at those smokestacks.
I've been there.
and a Maltese, just like we saw from Scott Keswick. Those old guys were pretty good.
ABC's Wide World of Sports continues from Phoenix, Arizona. Here's John Neighbor and Bart Connor.
We're back at the Hilton Gymnastics Challenge. On this final rotation, John Roethlisberger is on the high bar. Unlike the Olympics, where a team's top 5 scores count, this competition allows scores from only 3 of the 4 athletes entered.
You notice how strong John is. The judges require such high level of difficulty in the routines these days that we're seeing larger, bigger, stronger gymnasts than we've seen in the past in order to manage to do those really difficult combinations. Watch this. John has a very unusual dismount. Watch this over the bar. Well done. Although he had a couple of slight form breaks, it's really nice to see an unusual dismount. So many gymnasts pick the same moves. This is very complicated. He goes over the bar with 1.5 twists and 2 flips.
And a 9.5, the judges' award for that high bar routine. At the start of the rotation, Sun Liang from China was in the bronze medal position for the individual all-around. His final event, the floor exercise.
Great opening tumbling run. Watch this sequence here. Flares. Very fast and aggressive. Up to a handstand. Nice control down to the splits. We've been so impressed with these Chinese. They're so well coached. The technique in every movement is very precise. Once again, very high tumbling, effortless landing.
From China,
The opening tumbling run that he used is a laid-out double somersault. We saw it today from many gymnasts, but his is certainly the best of the competition because his form is so clean and he rotates it so nicely he can land easily.
Sun Liang gets a 9.3 on the floor to go by John Roethlisberger in the all-around competition. Still to come, the all-around and team title at stake when we watch Scott Keswick and Ivan Ivankov in their final routines. Time now for the final routine of the world all-around champion Ivan Ivankov. He's on the pommel horse and he leads Scott Keswick by a quarter point.
Oh, he's having a little trouble at the beginning, a form break. He'll have to get more aggressive. This is a good combination. Nice. Big finish. Just a little sloppy early on, but it won't be a huge deduction. Let's take a look at where he made a mistake. It was just a slight mistake, but he's on one pommel, and he's going to turn right around in this pommel. Ironically, the move's called a one-pommel Russian. He broke form, but he kept the rhythm of it going well. So Ivankov gets a 9.45. A congratulations from the coach of the Belarus team and from his mentor, Vitaly Sherba.
America's best hope for an all-around medal today is Scott Keswick. In his final rotation on the high bar. He was not able to close the gap much on Ivankov in the 5th rotation. In fact, he lost a bit of ground.
This could be a good confidence booster, though, to be this close to the world champion. Scott Keswick has an exciting high bar routine. Watch this move. It's critical. Nice. having a very strong competition. I haven't seen him this aggressive and this consistent and focused in a long time. His dismount is a triple. It's a good one. There it is.
KESWICK needs more than a 9.75 to win.
I don't know, John. That's going to be a tough score to get. It's so hard to get a high score these days in men's gymnastics under the new rules. But typical for Scott KESWICK, he always goes for the big moves. This triple drops from about 14 feet in the air. There's a lot happening, and it's tough to land. That little hop right there, that might be the difference.
Well, KESWICK gets a 9.6. Not enough to beat Ivankov, but he stays ahead of all others to earn a silver medal in the all-around. Now we turn to the last competitor in the final rotation. He's 23-year-old CHAINEY, and this is his signature event. He finished 4th at the recent World Championships on high bar, but what's noteworthy is the fact that earlier in this meet, he's pulled out of 2 events with nagging shoulder problems.
It's hard to believe with those gigantic shoulders that CHAINEY actually has trouble with them, but he's had some problems, and so he elected to not compete in the rings or the parallel bars. He competed in 3 events earlier. This is his final event, of course, and this is a spectacular routine. There are 4 huge release moves and a big dismount. Watch this. Here's 1, 2, and he keeps going. Outstanding.
Sure doesn't look like he's got shoulder problems.
Well, of course, on the rings and the parallel bars, there's so much grinding on the shoulders because they're support events. This is a hanging event, so he has less stress on the shoulders. And boys, he's swinging it well. Great landing. Outstanding day for the U.S. team. Let's take a look at the 4 release moves. Each one he catches right out, arm's distance from the bar, swings through the bottom and sets up the next release move. Few gymnasts will go for 4 in a row. Now watch the dismount. Watch how early he spots the floor right there. He's looking for it, and he just plants it. Great finish.
Umphrey earns a 9.6, and that gives USA more than enough points to win the team title. In the individual all-around, Ivankov wins, but Scott KESWICK turned in 6 solid routines to finish a close second. Bart Connor is with him now.
Joined now by Scott KESWICK. Scott, you had one terrific competition today.
Yeah, I was very pleased. Actually, I came in a little tired, but the team competition was the priority for us, and we knew we had to push. CHAINEY was a little bit hurt, and he had to scratch 2 events, so we knew we had to step it up, and we wanted this meet pretty bad, and you know, I'm real happy with our performance.
Let's talk about the confidence boost for you and also for the U.S. team. I mean, you came this close to Ivankov. That had to be pretty exciting as well.
Yeah, it's very exciting. He's a world champion, and he's a great gymnast, and he's the guy I'm shooting for. I love his gymnastics, and I watch a lot of films of him, and so I'll be gunning for him in the future.
2 years away are the Olympics. This has to be a real boost as you look towards that.
Definitely. Everything's leading towards Atlanta. That's our priority is Atlanta, and we want to do everything we can now to set things up. We want to go out and win as many medals and win as many competitions as we can, and you know, get the USA going, get the crowd behind us, and let them know that USA Gymnastics is on the rise again.
Congratulations, a good job.
Thank you.
It is on the rise with athletes like Scott KESWICK. This squad served notice that they too are a team to watch in the future. On behalf of my partner, Bart Connor, I'm John Neighbor saying thanks for joining us in Phoenix here at the Hilton Gymnastics Challenge.